All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got Lorehold the Historian here. 3 colorless, red, white for a 5/5 flying haste. Each instant and sorcery card in your hand has Miracle 2, and that means you may cast that card for its miracle cost when you draw it if it's the first card you've drawn that turn. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may also discard a card, and if you do, draw a card. So we have some card advantage in here, but a lot of it is more specific because a big part of this deck is getting Lorehold onto the battlefield as soon as possible so we can miracle some stuff in. So let's go over how we're going to do that. First of all, we're going to be a little bit nice to everybody with the Helm of Awakening. 2 colorless, spells cost 1 colorless less to cast. Yes, we're helping everybody out, but we are benefiting from this way more because of the next piece of ramp we have, which is the Cloud Key. It is 3 colorless for an artifact. When it enters, you choose artifact, creature, enchantment, instant, or sorcery, and spells of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. Now, it's important to note that Miracle allows us to break timing restrictions, so we can cast sorceries and other things on our opponent's turn with our commander's loot ability. So what we're going to be picking more often than not for this artifact is sorceries. We want to be able to drop some of our big burn or board wipe sorceries on our opponent's turn, and combined with the Helm of Awakening, they'll be free if we miracle them on our opponent's turn. It's crazy. Next, we have our backup plan in the deck to cover the 2 mana cost. On top of those artifacts that ramp us by 2 mana, also help us get our commander out, except for Soul Talisman, which is not super common in commander decks, but it is a free artifact with Suspend for 1 mana and Suspend 3. Rather than pay this, cast this card from your hand, which you can't do, it has no cost, you have to pay 1, and then you can exile it with 3 time counters. At every upkeep, you lose a time counter. When the last one is removed, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. And it's just a Soul Ring. It taps for 2 colorless, but this will allow us to tap it and cast spells on our opponent's turns while we have Lorehold out. We also have the Tablet of Discovery. From the new Secrets of Strixhaven set. It is 2 colorless and a red. When it enters, we may mill a card. If we do, we might play that card this turn. It adds a red, which is great, but it also adds double red, and we can only spend that to cast instants and sorceries, which our instants and sorceries all have Miracle, so this also is a Soul Ring for our instants and sorceries on our opponent's turns, or even our turn. We also have the Bender's Waterskin from the Avatar set. There is another card that is like this that also untaps during each upkeep. However, it is a little too pricey for this budget, but is a strong include if you want to put that in there too. But the Bender's Waterskin is a 3 colorless artifact. It untaps during each player's untap step, and it adds 1 mana of any color. So even if we only have one of our cost reducers in play, this will help us miracle on our opponent's turns. Now let's talk about some of our card advantage that's a little more specific since we have looting built into our commander. We have Maze Mind Tome, which is 2 colorless. Now we can either just straight up draw cards with this thing to get that ability to trigger. More importantly, though, what we're going to be doing with Maze Mind Tome is using it to set up the top of our library by scrying 1. This also happens to give us a little bit of life gain when we're done using it. A really cool card I'm excited to put into this deck is the Library of Lang. It's also really fun to put all these books into this deck with Lorehold the Historian. It feels very right. It's very cool that they kind of inherently work with all these things that are like all these alternate, like they're very powerful designs, but I really think they were very well thought out designs as I'm building these decks. I think they're way more well designed than people think, because they just They work mechanically and lore-wise with the things they should, and it's wild. Even from way before, like the Library of Lang. Sorry for that rant. I just love Secrets of Strixhaven. Secrets of Strixhaven very, very much. It is a 1-mana artifact. You must skip the discard phase of your turn. If a card forces you to discard, you may choose to discard to the top of your library rather than to graveyard. If discard is random, you may look at a card before deciding where to discard it. So this basically just means we can constantly set up the top of our library with our commander's loot ability so that we always know what we're miracling. It also helps us so that if we've already drawn some of our big bomb spells, which is very likely because we have a lot of them, this lets us put them back on top of our library so we can then miracle them. Such a cool inclusion in this deck. I love it. We also have another great inclusion is a Bag of Holding. Colorless artifact. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. You can tap 2 mana to draw a card and discard a card. Not really what we're going to be doing with this thing. We're going to be taking advantage of the fact that this is holding our discarded cards and sacrifice the Bag of Holding for 4 mana and return all exiled cards with it to our hands. So this is another way to protect us and make use out of what we're discarding and not really losing it, but saving it for later. Now we have Brainstone. Very cool card. Colorless artifact. Pay 2 and tap it and sack it. You draw 3 cards. So it's 3 mana for 3 cards. Not the craziest rate, not the worst, but you put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. And in my playtesting, what was very cool with this to do was you could crack it and then you could set up miracle turns like on your opponent's turns. So you'd be like, all right, I want to miracle this first and I can miracle this next if you've got the mana to do those things. Very cool. I love Brainstone. Now we have Champion's Helm in this deck instead of our traditional, and it's a little more expensive to get down, but our commander is also more expensive. We're not trying to get him down super early, and the equip is also still cheap. This is a really great equipment I recommend for people if your commander already has haste, like Lorehold the Historian does. So because we already have that, Swiftfoot Boots and Lightning Greaves aren't ideal. We don't Lorehold's like our number 1 creature. We don't have other creatures. We have our token creature. We'll get to our adventure creature. I found one, and he works. Doesn't work as well as the other 2, but he works. But because of that, this still provides the very important keyword of hexproof, but it gives our commander a bigger combat boost and turns our dragon into a 3-turn clock to commander damage people out. And that also provides a win condition, which is great. Other ways to protect your commander, we have God's Willing, which is target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. It also gives us a Scry, which can set up a miracle. We have Lauren's Escape, which is 1 white instant. Target artifact or creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Scry 1. Again, helping us set up our miracle. Now for our token adventure card. I still think he has a very important role in this deck, but he is... our Heartfame Duelist is just not as fitting as the other 2 adventure creatures. However, it is 2 mana for a 3/1 human knight that has instants and sorcery spells we control have lifelink. And as we'll get to after the lifelink section, we do some big damage for cheap with our miracle stuff. So getting that life back could be very, very good. On top of that, he has Heartflame Slash. She, I believe. Oh, who is she? My bad, Madam Duelist. I was looking at this card much smaller before this. 2 colors and a red for an instant. Heartflame Slash deals 3 damage to any target. 3 damage in Commander is not going to end the game. However, it can't not end the game if someone's low enough. Plus, it can be removal. It'll give us a burn. But more importantly, that lifelink for our instants and sorceries. It'll be cool with some of the big burn we have. Now we have Invincible Hymn, which is you don't... Some of the cards in here, I'm so excited to play these commanders in general like this, because you have to play weird things, but you just... I think Lorehold specifically gets a lot of weird cards to play. So we have Invincible Him, 6 colorless and double white for a sorcery. Count the number of cards in your library. Your life total becomes that number. In my first playtest game, I miracled this in after getting my commander out. And then it was, I think, turn 5, I had 86 life, Lorehold on the board, and something else. It was crazy. It was a good time. We also have Reverse the Sands, which is a really, really funny spell. 6 colorless and double white for a sorcery. Redistribute any number of players' life totals. So you just... It's like you are picking up the life totals as whole objects. You can't, pick and choose. You can't... It's not one whole life total pool you're redistributing. It is each of the 4 players' life totals you're redistributing. So if you got someone's at 5, someone's at 30, someone's at 12, someone's at 21, you get to pick who's at 5 and who gets to be at 5 and who gets to be at 30, and then rearrange the other middle life totals where you really want. Great card to help us come back if we were getting beat down. Now let's talk about some of our big damage burn spells. We got Beacon of Destruction in here, which is 3 colorless and double red. It deals 5 damage to target creature or player. Shuffle Beacon of Destruction into its owner's library. This is just great so that we can just keep ripping this off and miracling it and putting it back in our deck. And hopefully keep hitting players, hitting creatures. It's a great spell to have here. Cinderstorm, 6 colorless and a red for a sorcery. 7 damage to target creature or player. That's it. Just bomb something for 7. And paying 2 mana for that, excellent. We also have Explosive Singularity, 8 colorless and double red for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may tap any number of untapped creatures you control, and it costs 1 less to cast for each creature tapped this way. That's not going to be the most likely scenario for us. We're probably going to be miracling this to reduce it, though we do have some minute amount of token generation in the deck. It is just not anywhere near a central plan. They just have to be very useful spells to miracle off and maybe create some bodies to block for us if we need them. But it is not our main plan. They're just nice if we pick them up. But anyway, all that about the cost structure we're not going to really follow. What matters about this spell is, boom, 10 damage to any target. Just dome somebody for 10. So good. Riddle of Lightning is 3 colorless and double red for an instant. Choose any target, which I believe, because it's choose any target, so it does target. Scry 3, which not only helps us for this spell, but it can also help us set up miracle turns later. Then you reveal the top card of your library, and Riddle of Lightning deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to that permanent under player. Fun reminder, we just covered a 10 mana card. Very cool. We also have Searing Wind, 8 colorless and a red, a 9 mana card for an instant. Searing Wind deals 10 damage to target creature or player. Oh no. So good. And we also have Soulfire Eruption. This is another card, and we have more. Another card to capitalize on the big mana spells we have, which is 6 colorless, triple red for sorcery. Choose any number of target creatures, planeswalkers, and or players. For each of them, exile the top card of your library. Then Soulfire Eruption deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to that permanent or player. You may play the exiled cards until the end of your next turn. An incredible spell for this deck. It's so good. Now, with all these big spells, and we're going to hopefully be able to cast them for cheap, why not copy them? So we have some copy magic in this deck, in the newly printed Choreographed Sparks, which is double red and instant speed. This spell cannot be copied, which is okay. We're not trying to go that degenerate with it. Choose one or both. You may copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. Choose 2 targets. Or you may copy target creature spell you control. They gain haste, and at the beginning of the next end step, you sack them. We're not going to be casting a creature unless we happen to... There is a non-zero chance in this deck where you could have this and Heartflame Duelist and something else, and you can just do all of that in one turn. Go off. Unlikely, though. We also have Increasing Vengeance, which is double red for an instant, copy target instant or sorcery spell. It also has Flashback for 3 colorless and double red. If it is cast from your graveyard, you copy that spell twice. We have Return the Favor, which is double red, instant with Spree. We can choose to pay 1 to copy an instant or sorcery spell, or trigger an ability, choose 2 targets, or we can pay an additional red to change the target. And you can pay both to do both. Very cool spell. I love it in most any red deck, but I love having the copy effect in here as well. And we also got the copy classic, Reverberate, double red, instant, copy target instant sorcery spell, choose 2 targets. So next on here is we have some recursion. Archangel's Light, 7 colorless and a white for a sorcery. You gain 2 life for each card in your graveyard, then shuffle your graveyard into your library. Invoke Calamity, colorless and quadruple red for an instant. You may cast up to 2 instant and or sorcery spells with converted mana value 6 or less from your graveyard and or hand without paying their mana costs. If those spells will be put in your graveyard, exile them instead. Exile Invoke Calamity. Just instant speed, be able to grab back something we can do to do some damage, maybe gain some life, do something. We also have Lorehold Charm in here, which is colorless and red for an instant speed. We will choose 1. Each opponent sacks a non-token artifact of their choice. We can get an artifact or creature back with mana value 2 or less from our graveyard to our battlefield. And then creatures we control get +1/+1 and trample until end of turn. That last mode is very likely never going to matter, but it is there. We also have Surge to Victory, 4 colorless and double red for a sorcery. Exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Creatures you control get +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is that card's mana value. Whatever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player this turn, copy the exiled card. You may cast a copy without paying its mana cost. Now, this is primarily in here just to target Lorehold. Give him anywhere from +7 to +10. Knock a player out with commander damage, likely. But there's a world in this deck where you have fired off one of your token spells, and then you get to fire off a Surge to Victory and probably murder the table. So, very cool. I love it. And another spell that cares about the size of our spells, Volcanic Vision. 5 colorless and double red for a sorcery. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Volcanic Vision deals damage equal to that card's mana value to each creature your opponents control. Exile Volcanic Vision. Just a very good board wipe to clear the path for us to get to victory. And now we're back into all of the board wipes. We've got Draconic Intervention with 2 colorless and double red. As an additional cost to cast this spell, exile an instant or sorcery from our graveyard. It deals X damage to each non-dragon creature, where X is the exiled card's mana value. If a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. It's just a great spell to clear the board and have some death trigger hate on top of it. We have Slash the Ranks, 3 colors and double white. Destroy all creatures and planeswalkers except for commanders. Very simple. We also have Starfall Invocation, 3 colors and double white. We can gift a card, destroy all creatures. If the gift was promised, we can return a creature card from our graveyard this way to the battlefield under our control. So that creature is most likely going to be our commander. We'll let the commander go to the graveyard with the Starfall Invocation, and then after giving somebody a card, and then we can get our commander back. We also have the classic Blasphemous Act. Worth noting, though, because of our instants and sorceries have life gain creature. yes, that damage will kill them. Doesn't stop this thing from having lifelink when it's fired off. So 13 damage to every creature can be lifelinked. And our last couple spells that we have are not really board wipes, not really mass destruction, but kind of a little bit. In Destructicorum, we have 2 colorless and double red. Goad all creatures you don't control. That's it. And then, on a similar vibe, we have Taunt from the Rampart. 3 colorless, red, white, sorcery. Goad all creatures your opponents control. Until your next turn, those creatures can't block. So, it's not board wipes. They're not removal, per se. But these are huge wrenches in our opponent's plans if they want to try to deal with us while we're also miracling off on their turns. And that's Lorehold, man. An interesting dragon. I really went into this thinking he was going to be the weakest, and that is still, like, not impossible, but throwing mostly instants and sorceries into his deck hurt less than I thought it was going to, and it's just so cool with all the books that work with him and the library. I love it. It's a very cool dragon. But that's going to be it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you could do the things that appease the algorithm, like, comment, and subscribe, I would appreciate it. Be excellent to one another, and have a good one.